perfect. Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the Moscow clock. You're so picture perfect.
Welcome back, everybody, to Bravo Tea with the Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to spill some Bravo tea. So we are going to kick it off with our recap from Southern Charm the other week. And every time I am watching these episodes, I'm getting more and more sad about Craig and Paige, but I feel like we're also seeing more into the relationship. I think, as we all know, that Craig is the hopeless romantic and Paige is the very independent New York City chick that he just fell for, but we all probably inevitably started realizing it wasn't going to work out when no one was making a move. And for him to make that move, like I said before, I think would have caused a lot of resentment because he has a lot of roots in Charleston, a lot of work commitments, a house that he can't just up and leave. But seeing all these episodes now and then knowing they're broken up, and then we're going to get Summer House coming out February 12th, and we're probably going to get a couple appearances, not at least one from Craig. And we did see Paige break down in the Summer House trailer a little bit, and she's like, or Craig and I will break up. So I don't know if somebody is talking about, is somebody going to move? What's happening? Are we going to get engaged? But Craig was probably telling Paige behind the scenes, I don't want to get engaged until we live together, which is responsible, makes sense, and is smart. And then she's probably like, I don't want to move to Charleston. And then he's probably like, well, I don't want to wait 10 more years to like get married and have children. But moving on to the recap. So Shep comes over to Austen's, and Austen is just filling him in with his whole chat that he had with Craig. And Shep is just telling us he does not let this bother him as much as Austen does, because Craig is in his like grandpa, I'm gardening era. And Austen just wants to go to lunch with him. I feel like every time Austen brings this up to Craig, though, Craig is automatically assuming Austen wants to go to like a rager, stay up till 3 a.m. and get blacked out and cheat on their girlfriends. That's not at all. He's just saying, let's get some barbecue and talk shit about people or watch. He said any match. So he probably means like golf, tennis, even football. He wouldn't call that a match, but he just wants to hang out with his friend, which I don't blame him. And then we have Taylor, who is celebrating her 30th birthday. And I like forget how much younger she is than everybody else. I just turned 34, so it's not like I'm way older than Taylor, but I just feel like she's has to be the youngest of the group at this point. I don't know. I feel like Olivia's probably the same age, but now that she's not there, Taylor is the baby of the group. Her and her mom go out to lunch though, and Taylor said she can't even fathom the thought that when her mom was 36, she already had 3 kids. And she's like, that's only 6 years away from me. So then her mom is just like, yeah, we really like Gaston and you're happy. Have you guys talked about engagement and all that stuff? Because I'm wondering if we're going to see him on the show, because he is on Southern Hospitality, which I do not watch. I should get into it, but I feel like it takes a lot for me to get into a new show. But Christina, the Bravo babe, said it's very nostalgic, like old school Vanderpump, which I could see that. And Leva is kind of like a Lisa Vanderpump in that sense, like the owner of the restaurant watching over everybody. So I feel like I'll give it a whirl. I guess are they on their second season, third season? I feel like I could catch up and watch, or I feel like I could just kind of dive in now and know-ish or catch up what's going on. But then Paige and Craig get ready to have like an impromptu backyard party because Taylor's was canceled. So I guess the reason why it was canceled because her and her mom, when they were out to lunch, were just talking about how it was a rough year for her. So ironically and oddly, so we know Olivia lost her brother. After that, Taylor lost her brother. So they were just like kind of talking about that. And I guess it got Taylor all sad and then she canceled her birthday party. But see, I wouldn't in that scenario want to be left alone to be sad because she's like, I just want to be alone. That's making you sad though. If you have a party and are around your friends, it's actually probably going to distract your brain. So Paige and Craig are going to have a party, but it's not for Taylor and Taylor's not there. It's just like a replacement party just to kind of look at the whole backyard, which, I mean, if Craig putting all his money, blood, sweat, and tears into this backyard doesn't make Paige want to live there or at least live there half the year, then there was no hope for that relationship. But then they talk about Craig doing his like freezing his sperm. So he's like, well, since this isn't going to be a birthday party for Taylor, I guess it could be a party for my swimmers. And Paige is like, I don't really know if I want to celebrate that, because let's all think about it for a minute. Craig wanted to freeze his sperm, like Austen said the previous episode. I don't think Paige necessarily wanted Craig to freeze his sperm. So I think this is like a one-sided thing. Like, I feel like Craig is always looking to their future and planning for their future, and Paige is just like living it up in New York City, like Carrie Bradshaw, like not really thinking about the future and stuff like that, which is cool, but not cool when you have a partner that is like on the total opposite page. So Craig was saying at the sperm bank that if you die, like if he were to pass, he has to leave the frozen sperm to somebody. So he's like, obviously I listed you, Paige, and I would, in my perfect rom-com fantasy, you would be having the baby and raise it on your own without me. And she's literally like, I would never, ever do that. And this is just so much insight of why they broke up, because he is a Hallmark movie. Craig is like a Christmas Hallmark movie, and he wants that like rom-com love story, and Paige just doesn't. When I listened to her on Giggly Squad when she was talking about the breakup, like on that episode, I normally don't listen every week, but obviously I had to tune in and listen to her on that one. She was saying that she has been in a physical and emotional abusive relationship, which I did not know, but it almost makes more sense to me why she puts up this like tough exterior, even though I don't think she thinks that Craig would ever do that to her. But it's almost like she's just wounded and scarred from a past relationship that she almost can't help it. So that's why she puts up this guard a little bit and can't totally be this hopeless romantic like Craig is, which good for Craig. And he lives in the perfect city, I feel like, for that like rom-com relationship. And I am going to be curious his next relationship, if he's going to live out that rom-com fantasy fairy tale, but hopefully he'll never pass away and someone will have to raise that frozen sperm. And then I'm wondering, like, did he run to that sperm bank and take Paige? Because what if, like, God forbid, next week something happened to Craigie? Technically, the frozen sperm are being left to Paige. As soon as you break up, you got to get all those orders in a fair. It's like if you have life insurance and you're getting divorced, that better be the first thing you run, take your spouse off of that life insurance policy, because what if, God forbid, something happened, you hate the person, and then they get the life insurance money. That's how my brain functions and works. But I was like, I hope Craigie went to that sperm bank and took Paige's name off. So then she said that Austen is just foaming at the mouth to blame her why Craig has changed so much. And I can see where like Paige and Craig are coming from, because people are giving, when I say people, I mean Shep and Austen, they are giving Craig a little bit of a hard time. And Whitney was saying it at that dinner with his mom. But like Madison had to step in and say, he's not changing for the worse, because if he was, that would be like, let's bring it to Craig's attention, raise a red flag, like, oh, you and Paige are like locking yourselves in a closet doing drugs. That's not good. Instead, it's like he's breaking out of that closet, sewing pillows, changing his life, doing good things, and he's just maturing. I mean, I feel like even if Paige wasn't around, he's just at the age where he's probably like, I'm like tired of going out, waking up, being hungover, not being productive. He's just hit that stage in his life where he wants better, because right now him and Paige aren't together, and I think he's going to stay on this like working hard, not really drinking, I'm gardening in the backyard, not going out thing. I really do. Maybe he will go out a little bit more, like maybe come this summer so he can find a new girlfriend, but I really just don't think he's going to totally go back to his old ways. And that has to be hard for Paige because I feel like she is feeling like a cold shoulder from Austen or Shep because they're like, oh, you stole our friend. And it shouldn't be like that. Then we see Madison sitting on her cute little front porch. She is like the poster child of like a pretty young Southern housewife. I feel like she's like on her front porch on the swing drinking homemade lemonade. And then she's like to FaceTiming her mom. She's like, look, I just planted these flowers in my little flower box. But she said that they found a tumor on Brett's kidney. So the throat cancer is better, but now he has this. And I feel so bad for her. And she said in her confessional, this is the worst year of her life because her father was diagnosed with cancer and then he didn't make it. So I do feel so bad for her. I mean, cancer is totally attacking her 2024 year, and hopefully this year in 2025, Brett it seems like he's doing well, so hopefully he is. I just feel really bad for her because she finally has found the love of her life, and then now this has to happen. But then we get Austen calling Rodrigo, and he said, did you see Taylor's party got canceled? And Rodrigo's probably like, thank God, because I didn't want to see her beach decor or wherever we were going. I forget what the theme was supposed to be for her party because they did say it later at Craig's house, but I'm like, oh, I just think it's crazy though. She totally canceled a 30th birthday party so last minute too. Because if she was having it at a place, I would feel like she's not getting her deposit back unless they were just like waiving her deposit because she's on TV. I don't know. But all these things that I feel like she possibly had organized and or given to her for the party. It's like, oh, just kidding. I want to sit home and cry instead of have my party. But so then Rodrigo was like, well, Craig is having a party instead. And Austen was like, oh, I did not know about this. So awkward. I think it's like Craig, this is where he can come in to be a little bit of a housewife. I feel like he is like ass in the air, mad at Austen for just pointing out that he feels like Paige is not in it as much as him. And then it's like, I'm sure Austen obviously once Paige broke up with Craig, because we all know that's how it went. I'm sure Austen did not rub it in Craig's face, but I'm sure down the line there will be a little bit of a gentle I told you so, or a reflection of, see, I was never trying to be mean or get you mad at me, but like that's kind of what I was talking about. Like she is not on the page you were on, and I was just looking out for you as a friend and didn't want you to get hurt. Like bros before hoes, was just looking out for you. Maybe Austen and Craigie can garden together in the backyard, maybe. But then everyone goes to Craig's except Austen and Shep. And Rodrigo was just mentioning how Austen wasn't invited to Craig. And he's like, yeah, well, if he's going to like come over here and act like that, he's not going to be invited. But then we got interesting insight. So at the beginning of the season, we just assumed that Vanita's boyfriend and her like broke up. But then she's telling us that her boyfriend moved to New York to be on Broadway. But then I was like, okay, so like, are you still together, but like not really? And then she like really barely even said if they broke up. So I'm just really confused. And then she's like full on flirting with JT at the beginning of the season. So I had just assumed her and her boyfriend broke up. Um, they show flashbacks to their scenes. Isn't it so sad that like they don't even care enough to like show us these scenes that they filmed of Vanita or care to explain that her and her boyfriend did kind of break up and he moved? It's like, you're really not interesting. You're probably not going to be on the show next year. So we'll just give you like a 20-second flashback so people can kind of see what's going on. So he said he was like going to be gone for only 3 months, I think. And then he was like, you're just assuming it's 3 months. It's going to be longer. And I'm like, well, wait, what do you mean assuming? You probably told her 3 months, and Broadway doesn't last forever. I mean, unless you get another Broadway gig immediately after, which obviously I'm sure that's what he would hope for. But it's like Ariana. She did her stint on Chicago, and then that is that. And then you're done. And you either go on to other things or you maybe, I guess, go do another Broadway show. But wouldn't put two and two together that her boyfriend, or I guess we can assume ex-boyfriend, wanted to be on Broadway, and that was his dream. That's what she said, dream. But then she said her family is sad because they really liked him, and really the only guy they ever liked that she dated. And she's like, and I've dated quite a few men. I'm like, tell us more. And will they like JT? Like, is that just the show putting them together and flirting, or did Vanita start feeling feelings for JT? Because I don't know, they were like trying that suit on and she's like, oh, you look yummy. So even if they were just put together for the show to try the suit on, I don't think you'd be saying, oh, you look yummy if you don't like him. But I digress. We're like barely even seeing her, JT, and Taylor. So the producers are really leaning more in to these new people. So we got Salley and we got Molly. So Salley is sitting down having a chit chat with Paige and Madison. And she said she wasn't even invited to Taylor's. And Paige said, oh, do you beef with her? And she said, well, she's dating my ex and I was with Shep for like 2 hours. So this is a very interesting, fascinating love story, triangle, square, web that we're weaving. So I think I figured it out. So first, we have Salley and Shep hook up, and then Shep and Taylor date. And then Taylor hooked up with a guy named Andrew. And then Salley dates Gaston. And then Taylor dates Gaston. And then Salley dates Andrew. Especially with her name being Salley, I feel like I'm doing one of those math equations. Like, if Salley gets on the train with Andrew and then they meet Gaston and Taylor, who ends up with Gaston at the end of the day? Like, it's like a math equation. So then I saw somebody post season 1 Southern Hospitality. This Andrew guy was like trying to hook up with people on that show. So I don't know. It's just like they do always say that the town is so small. So later Rodrigo's like, this town is like a soap opera on steroids. So I guess it's like everybody knows each other. Everyone hooks up with each other. I feel like they always say that about Orange County too. So we're watching these shows thinking, especially Orange County, like, oh, you live in a big place. But it's like, obviously, I guess the town is not that big and everyone just knows everyone and everyone shares everyone. So basically at this point, Salley and Taylor have kissed, if we can all equate to the math. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting when we do have Salley and Taylor interact more this season. And I like that we're leaning more into these two people because Vanita is a snooze fest. I don't think we'll see her next season. We don't have Olivia, which I did like Olivia, but not super like interesting or dramatic TV. The most dramatic thing was the Taylor, Austen, Olivia triangle. But after that, I don't think she would have given us much drama on the show. But I don't know. I'm wondering if Taylor would ever move to Southern Hospitality just because Gaston's on that. And that could get fascinating having a couple on the show together. But then Salley said that Gaston and her had a conversation the other day, and he pulled a whole Will Smith on her and said, keep my name out of your effing mouth. Very, very Will Smith-esque. And then they are kind of downing his looks, which not trying to throw shade to anybody's physical appearance, but he's not a looker. He's just not. He's not cute. He has really big ears, and he's just not cute. And Taylor's a pretty girl. And Gaston and Shep couldn't look more not alike. And definitely their personalities aren't alike. And then their age is not close at all. So Taylor's definitely, I guess, scarred from Shep, and she went the whole opposite way. But Madison was like, yeah, he's not cute. And Paige is like, oh, he's okay. Madison's like, what? But then Craig tells Madison about him and Austin's chat and that he actually decided to take it upon himself to record the podcast alone the other night. And I don't really know how he can do that because they do their podcast together. It's not like Craig can just make decisions, I feel like, without Austen, or that he's treating it like Austen's like a guest on his podcast, but they do it's like pillows and beer or beer and pillows. I don't know. He's like, Austen's always like hungover and never wants to do it. Or he like takes it like not seriously and it's a joke to him and I take it seriously. I love the clip they show while he's saying, I take it seriously and he does it. They started in 2020 during the lockdown of COVID and they are both just like drunk sitting there. So it's like, Craig, stop. Like you didn't take it seriously at all. So that's my one conflicting thing when Craig keeps shitting on Austen. Yes, Craig is more mature than Austen, but I feel like Craig is really, really belittling Austen and Shep, acting like, oh, I'm so much better than you. Like, you just want to get drunk, and I never do that. And it's like, literally, like a couple years ago, you were doing that. So just get off the high horse a little bit. I feel like he also tries to be on the high horse a lot for Paige. And I'm thinking before Craig turned this new leaf, because when him and Paige first started dating, he was drinking more and he was annoying. So maybe Paige was like, you're like so annoying. If you don't stop, like, I'm over it. Like, I don't want to deal with a toddler. And that probably snapped him into, oh, this is a great relationship. I don't want to screw this up. So now I feel like he tries to like impress Paige when she's around and be like, yeah, I like don't drink at all anymore. And I'm so serious. Right, Paige? Like, aren't you proud of me? Kind of. I feel like always trying to just prove himself and have Paige see that he's matured. That's just my 2 cents and my like observation a little bit. But Madison is telling Rodrigo that Gaston and Salley just talked. So obviously he will be reporting this information back to Taylor. And that's when Rodrigo said this town is like a soap opera on steroids. He said that he just can't believe or understand why Gaston would be even contacting Salley. But it's not like he's contacting her to like cheat on Taylor or something. He is contacting her to be like, stop talking about me. But also it's like, don't call your ex-girlfriend or like tell me that you called her and told her all that. But Paige just loves when Craig gets riled up about like Austen and Shep. And I just think she could care less if Craig was even friends with them, but just also not a good look now because I feel like Craig is going to try to salvage the relationship more than ever now with Austen and Shep because he doesn't have Paige anymore. And Craig meets up with Shep to get lunch. Literally, Craig should just come out with a non-alcoholic beer at this point because he's like always trying on camera, I feel like, to tell us, announce to us that he's having an NA beer. And he's like, gets a water, a Diet Coke, and a non-alcoholic like Sam Adams. And then he was like to Shep, he's like, oh, do you want one? You should try one. They're so good. And then they like sit down at lunch and he's like, see, isn't it so good? And Shep's like, yep, tastes like beer. And it's like, all right, Craig, like, are you getting a kickback from these non-alcoholic beers? Because it's like, we get it. We get it. To me, I would rather, like, if I'm not going to drink, like, yes, I understand if you totally don't drink at all, like Kyle, when they go out, she has the non-alcoholic beers, but like, I'm not going to get a non-alcoholic beer all the time at lunch or sitting by the pool. Like, maybe just when I go out to feel included because they have just as many carbs as beer. So it's not like you're like drinking something that's healthy for you. Like, you're still getting all the carbs. You're just getting, I guess, a little less calories because there's no alcohol in it, but it's still basically just as fattening as having a regular beer. So it's like, Craig, if you're going to be that healthy, let's just stick to like the water. Definitely don't get the Diet Coke either because that's not good for you. But I feel like at this point, he should come out with a non-alcoholic beer and it could be like sewing down non-alcoholic. I don't know. I just really feel like he's pushing the non-alcoholic beer a lot. But Shep shows Craig this little slideshow that popped up on his phone. So, you know, like in our phone, our iPhone, it just like does random photos to like this like little like song. And I bet like the song was like depressing. I don't know. It reminded me of like those dog commercials with the Sarah McLachlan. song. It's like the arms of an angel. And it's like the dogs are staring at the camera and they look like they're crying. I have to turn the TV off. And I'm like, my dog can't see this. Or sometimes it's like if your dog's being bad, you could be like, look at those dogs. Show it to them for like punishment. Be like, you should be lucky and blessed that you're not that dog crying on the SPCA commercial with Sarah McLachlan. And it's like, if you just give $20 a month, we will make sure that these dogs don't suffer. It's like, how do I know? Maybe I'll just go down and adopt the dog myself. I don't know if I'm going to send you the $20. Who knows where it's going? I don't trust those. But I feel like that's what the slideshow of the photos were. It was like depressing. And he's like, look at all the memories we've had. And he's like, I've never asked to be a mediator in my life, but here I am and I'm trying. So he's just trying to mediate the situation between Austen and Craig because it doesn't have to be this dramatic. It doesn't have to come to it. Like Austen has told Craig, I would like to see you more, which is a nice thing. But Craig is taking it negatively. And Craig is kind of telling Austen, well, I can't see you because all you want to do is go to the bar. It's like not true at all. Like Shep literally went to Austen's house to chat and Austen was having like a matcha like latte or like a tea or something. So it's like, just go do that, Craig. Or like, I agree with Paige. Why aren't you recording the podcast in person? Maybe don't pick a weird time that Austen's going to be hungover. Like, yes, psycho. If you want to do it Sunday morning, I don't even want to do it Sunday morning, even if I'm not drinking the night before. Like, let me live in peace. That's the day of rest, Sabbath. The Amish would not appreciate that Craig is like a drill sergeant trying to get Austen recording the podcast. Just would not. But then JT texts Craig while they're sitting there. So funny, so planned, I feel like. But he said he wants to meet up and talk. So then we kind of see the preview for next week. And Craig is saying to Shep, like, oh, if I go and meet with JT by myself, like Austen's going to be real mad. But he's like, I don't care. Doing my housewife duty on Southern Charm. So Craig in the preview for next week literally asks Austen, how much would I have to give you to own Pillows and Beer, like the podcast? And I'm like, oh my God, like no offense, Craig, but like the podcast works and the banter works because you have him. It's like Paige and Hannah. They have Giggly Squad. That'd be like Paige saying to Hannah, how much do I have to give you to own Giggly Squad? Well, maybe Giggly Squad wouldn't even be successful or as successful as it is if one of them wasn't there. Gun to the head, if I had to pick one to listen to, probably Paige. But still, it's like the banter. Like Paige would just be sitting there talking to herself like I am right now. It's always fascinating to have guests on your podcast. I love when I have people on here and I talk to them, get their opinions. We have a whole conversation. And maybe that's why Pillows and Beer is even what it is, because they are sitting there having a conversation. And like, I love Craig and I do like Craig more than Austen, but I don't know if I would want to sit and just listen to Craig by himself. So I don't know why he thinks he can even ask Austen that. And I feel like that's very heartbreaking for Austen. I didn't like Austen last season because he was a little hoe, but now I'm feeling bad a little bit for Austen because I feel like Craig is really trying to belittle him, acting like he's better than him. And I don't like that. Like maybe lift your friend up and be like, let's see where we can mature together, do things together, whatever. But just really wondering current day, the stance of Craig and Austen's friendship since Craig is now single. And he was literally ditching all these friendships for Paige. And now she has ditched him, which we're going to take a little break. And then we will get more into like a little Paige gossip. To all my listeners out there, it's not just the Bravo celebrities that want to look beautiful. We do too. Head on over to Studio One Salon for the most amazing extensions, cut, color, or even just a nice shampoo and blowout. Or when you go out with all your friends to talk about all the latest Bravo tea. Use my code BRAVOT with a stay-at-home mom to enjoy 10% off. And we're back. And this is the portion where I said I was going to talk about Paige a little more. So our girl, Paige DeSorbo, was spotted with a man at the Philadelphia Eagles game. This is interesting to me because she is from New York. I feel like she's either a Giants or Jets fan. If I was going to guess, probably Giants. She was in full-fledged Eagles jacket gear, sitting in a box with a mystery man. But as the internet does, everybody went to work and discovered who it was. So it's Joe D Amelio. So this interesting tie to the Bravo universe, because we love to tie everything together in a little bow. Teresa Giudice, after she separated from Joe Giudice, had some sort of a relationship that they had posted, like some post on Instagram and comments before, like kind of alluding to maybe they had a little hookup. I don't really remember that, so that was interesting. But he is a sports marketing executive. I don't know if this is actually like a new flame in a romance. They were sitting together in the box. I mean, there were other people in the box, but they were sitting right next to each other. And the picture that Bravo and Cocktails Instagram account snagged, she is like totally whole body and face turned to him talking. So I don't know if this is a new romance or she's just freebie along for the ride going to the Eagles game. But if this would be Paige moving on this soon from Craigie, that would just literally break my heart. I mean, I feel like he has kept himself busy as of lately, like going around to some home shows, working. He's definitely like posting a lot to his Instagram stories. I feel like to make us know and or think he's okay and working, or Paige, because obviously this isn't that mutual in my opinion. Like she first came out and said, Craig and I decided to break up. It's like, no, you decided to break up with Craig and now he's just not going to really say much different. But then when he did come out on Instagram and I posted the video, he said this was totally a shock to him and he was blindsided. So at least she was taking one for the team, not saying, oh, I broke up with Craig out of nowhere and he had no idea and he's like crying every day. But now he has come to say he was totally shocked. I'm not totally shocked though, Craig, by watching you guys on TV, but also we can't judge these people from just TV because there's a lot we don't see off camera. And him and Paige could be having even more close relationship in person and off camera. Like maybe she does a little bit of the banter for TV, but I really do feel that banter is pretty natural and that's just how their relationship went. But in other Bravo news, we have Traitors season 3. That's not really Bravo news, but it's related to Bravo because we got Dolores, Dorinda, and Tom Sandoval. I need to watch it, but I saw some clips. So Chriselle from Selling Sunset is on it, and she looks at Tom Sandoval and goes, well, if we have to pick someone that would be the traitor or we think would be the traitor, I think it would be you because you already know how to lie and cheat and deceit people. And that's all the qualities of a traitor. And I was like, ooh, girl, tell him again. And then I saw this clip of him like running like all goofy. Like, you know, he's probably there like totally giving it his all. Dorinda was on Watch What Happens Live though. I didn't watch the Watch What Happens Live that she was on, but she said that when she met Tom Sandoval and filmed the show with him, he was kind of exactly how she expected. And that she like just didn't mind him. I mean, obviously she's not going to be best friends and or date him, but she said it was like exactly what she expected, which is probably like little narcissistic, little fool of himself and probably like kiss ass trying to be like, oh, don't you like me? Like, I feel like that is basically what we would get if we met him in real life. But then moving on to all the sad, devastating news of these fires that are spreading. So Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag are taking us by storm like it is circa Laguna Beach Hills era. I'm here for it because I loved them on the hills. Now, back in the day, we did think Spencer was a total douche and being all mean to Heidi. Obviously, now since the show has ended, they've come out on podcasts, interviews, said totally fake, totally scripted. He was not that mean. Like him and Heidi would have an argument. He would zoom away, the cameras would go down, he'd circle around, pick her up, they'd go to dinner in the movie. So obviously our teenage hearts are broken a little bit that was all totally fabricated, but also gives me a sigh of relief that he wasn't that much of a douche and that was just acting and up for the camera. So in light of all this fire, can we get them back on reality TV? Because they are reality TV gold. And I do feel bad for them. I know like a lot of people are like, why should we feel bad for the celebrities? Like they can buy their house over again. Heidi and Spencer, hate to break it to everyone, not that type of celebrity. Like Harrison Ford's house burnt to the ground. Harrison Ford can go buy another house. Now, I'm not saying that means we shouldn't feel bad for Harrison Ford because, yes, he can afford to go buy another house, but it's the sentimental stuff that is in these people's houses. That's what I would be sad. Like, obviously, I would be devastated if I lost my house, but I'd be more devastated if I lost all the like childhood things of me, my husband, my kids, everything. I mean, that type of stuff I feel like is what we get sad in these types of situations. And Spencer and Heidi packed their bags, went to his parents' house, and then their house burnt down. So the bags they packed or little things they brought also burnt down. So they legitimately have just nothing from their homes. And he said him and Heidi spent all their money on their house and all the shit in their house, like all those crystals, everything. His hummingbird stuff, their clothes. I mean, I do feel bad for them. And then he is just blowing TikTok up. And also what's blowing up is Heidi's new song. He was going on TikTok saying, everyone stream her song. It is now #1 on the iTunes charts. So this is the only little bit of light at the end of the tunnel is we are getting a resurfacing, a rebrand of Speidi. And I'm here for it. But people are being mean to him. They're like, oh, you're so rich. And the video that stuck out in my brain is he went on yesterday and said, I love how for years people are saying Spencer and Heidi are broke and it's written in magazines. And now my house burns down. I'm telling you, I am broke. And everyone's like, no, you're a rich celebrity. And then this one video he posted, he said, this vile human being went on my Instagram and said, oh, of course, Spencer's milking his burnt house. And he said, yeah, duh, of course I am. He said he's going on Snapchat every day just to get $125 because they don't have money. He needs money. I don't think the insurance companies is going to reimburse these people like we hope and think that our insurance does. Him and Heidi are going to sue the state of California. And if everyone kind of goes on and watches his videos or some of these other videos, it's because he called 911. He called the fire department. He watched from his Ring camera. Nobody came to their house. Nobody attempted to do anything. They live right next to a water reservoir. All the water reservoirs are empty. The funding was cut for the fire department out there. Everyone was told to evacuate a lot later. They were warned, the governor and the mayor, for like 2 days about these winds. So they should have been taking precaution, treating the wildlife and all of that stuff that they know they should be, because that's how we prevent these things. It's just the preventative measures. Like now, obviously, we need to deal with what has happened out there and sending thoughts and prayers to everyone. But Spencer and people out there want people in higher up positions to be held accountable because they're the ones we look to in times of need or to prevent these times of need. And him and Heidi are just feeling like everyone did not protect all the people out there like they should, like their job. Some people are requesting that Governor Gavin Newsom resign. I mean, it's getting wild out there. I feel bad. I did see a video the other day of a woman like literally lighting a trash bag on fire. So we now have come to find out there are some people that are setting fire. They're committing arson. Somebody is being detained right now for doing that. I mean, I don't know why someone would want to do all that. I do obviously think that this stuff was it's like half and half. I feel like it was arson, and then I feel like it was the winds and the weather and all that. And then even if it was arson, we still had no water in these reservoirs to help these people or the fire hydrants, which is crazy. Like I said, the funding was cut for the fire department, so there's less firefighters. Kim Kardashian wants firefighters in jail to be paid more money because we are now getting, I guess, firefighters from jail to help us with this turmoil. But read the room, Kim. I mean, people are dying. It's like, yes, we want to make sure they are compensated for risking their life, but like, let's relax. They are in jail. This is all just my opinion, too. If people are getting mad listening to me, sorry, not sorry, because I like that she's fighting for justice. And I do think some people need help that are in jail. Like, obviously, I think the Menendez brothers, let's get them out of jail. I think it's been enough time. I think they did not make anything up about their abusive childhood at all. So there are cases that I totally agree with what Kim is doing, but I think she's being a little dramatic where she's saying these people that committed awful, terrible crimes need to be compensated and paid just the same as people walking the street that have never been in jail or never committed crime that aren't being punished. They need to be paid, but not anything like wild. So let's just relax over there. And it just literally reminds me of the scene when back in the day when Kim was very pretentious and she's doing that ugly cry and she lost her diamond earring and Courtney busts out of the hotel room because she just can't wait to get a jab at Kim. And she's like, Kim, people are dying. Leave it to Courtney to always shit and rag on Kim. And now we have Northwest to basically just do that because I feel like she's living over there with a mini Kanye West, which is just funny. Do you know what I'm also like re-watching? Because I just feel like this time of year, I like to watch like warm weather shows. So I'm kind of like, while I work out, I'm re-watching old episodes of Selling the OC. So it reminds me of The Hills because Adam DeVello is the one that does Selling Sunset, Selling the OC, and he did The Hills and Laguna Beach. So I'm wondering how fake those shows are since we have come to find out that The Hills was like totally fake. Like even Kristen Cavallari jumped on the bandwagon with Spencer and Heidi and said it's just totally fake. So it does crush our hearts. That's why at least we have Bravo, which I feel like is not fake, but a little, they say, hey, Austen, make sure you call Craig and have lunch with him. Or hey, JT, make sure while Craig and Shep are at lunch together, you text him. Stuff like that. But then I think everything they're dealing with is real. They just like maybe push you to be a little more catty. But I really do wonder how much Selling the OC is fake. And then if any of you guys watched it, if you remember, the Tyler guy that was on it was married to Brittany Snow. And then they got divorced. And then he like hooked up with Alex Hall. But then she like left him high and dry. So waiting for the next season. I wonder if they're going to get a season 4. I feel like they would, just so we can see, because Tyler's not going to be on the show. And I want to see the demise of their relationship. I mean, that was weird. Like he pulled her in and she said, don't pull me in unless you're going to be like committed. And I thought he was like really, really liked her because they were like always flirting. And then they finally did make out in that hot tub. And I thought they were going to go the distance. And then it was like, nope, sorry. He's just a F-boy. You can kind of tell that. Spoiled surfer, Newport Beach, because his dad was in real estate. So he basically grew up with the silver spoon real estate. And that's leg up on everyone in that office. Like some of the ones are like, yeah, I didn't just like get born into that. So him and Gio, basically their family is in high-end real estate. So I feel like that's why they get those high-end listings. And yeah, they work for a whole different company. It's not like they work for their parents, but still, of course, Jason, the little midget guy from the Oppenheim group. And then what's the brother's name that we like never see? Isn't it Brett? I think it's Brett and Jason. It's always just Jason on the camera. Brett's like lays low. Like obviously they have to make a name for themselves at their firm because it's like not like they're working for their parents, like I said, but obviously they're going to hire these kids that grew up in Orange County, Newport Beach, and their parents are like rich and sell lots of real estate, obviously. One show I'm going to miss, speaking of real estate, is the agency show, Buying Beverly Hills. That is not getting another season, and I don't know why. And then speaking of Beverly Hills, we will be recapping that later in the week. I'm here for all the Kyle and Dorit turmoil. Some people are like not liking how hard Dorit's going this season, but I'm liking it because I think she's putting Kyle in her place because Kyle wants sensitivity during the time of her and Maurizio, but nobody's giving sensitivity to Dorit, to be honest. And Sutton is just one to be reckoned with. Like the hot and cold, the like, I don't know. She's weird. She turns it on for the camera, which I don't like. Like, I don't think Kyle turns it on for the camera, but I definitely think she is like, do as I say, not as I do. I don't like that. But I feel like this was a good episode. We touched on the Southern charm and then the whole Paige tie-in with the gossip of her and Joe D Amelio. We will keep our eyes peeled for if Paige is with a new man. I hope not this soon. And we all have to do wellness checks on Craigie. But everybody, make sure you are following me, Bravo T with a stay-at-home mom, on my Instagram, my TikTok. So wherever you are listening right now, I am on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and I'm on YouTube. I need to kick it up in this new year on YouTube. Like all my episodes just upload to YouTube, but I need to do some like YouTube stuff. My daughter always asks me if I have a YouTube channel because sometimes I don't let her watch kids on YouTube that much, but she likes to watch some of those like kids that have YouTube channels and they're not doing anything bad. I just like don't like her to like sit around and do that. But we have watched some of those people that like the parents do the whole YouTube channel with the kids and they basically just run around the house and do nothing. And I'm like, we could totally do that. And she's like, do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, technically I do. I'm just not very active on it, but I'm like, maybe I should be more active on it. So my 6-year-old has prompted me to be more active on my YouTube channel. So in the new year, look out for me on my YouTube channel. I will try to engage more, but it's tough. It's a tough world out here trying to do all this high-tech technology all by your lonesome.
Got that vibe, makes them come alive. You're so picture perfect. Yeah, you walk that walk, watch the Moscow clock. You're so picture perfect.